Cameron Smith. I am a transfer junior here and from the University of San Diego. I went to the new student dialogue, which was titled Heterosexual Norms in a Not So Totally Heterosexual World. I went into it thinking that, basically I just signed up for it because it was the only one that worked out with my class schedule and my work schedule. So I went into it with an open mind though, because I do have some people, of some of my friends who are homosexual, and I wanted to have an open mind and learn more about what we were going to be talking about. I really had no idea where we were going to go with it, or how tense it would be, or anything. But so when we first started, there were a few people at the beginning who had like an active voice. Who, from the beginning, there was one girl who said that that her uncle was homosexual, and that he had a lot of problems that he had to deal with and things like that. But no one else really was saying much. There were definitely some more reserved voices in our dialogue who, some of them, like me, once towards the end of it, started to talk more. That was me. At the beginning, I was kind of reserved and was just kind of listening because I didn't really have too much to say. And then once we started talking more and everyone was giving their opinion, I definitely started to play more of a active role in the dialogue. I really liked how we started off the dialogue with the group norms for the dialogue. They make sense, and thank goodness we didn't have any problems in ours with people who were judging and speaking out, and criticizing other people. But I can definitely see, and I definitely have been in situations where there were people who, attacked the person who was just giving their opinion. So I really liked that we had these group norms, and I think that, if you're going to have a dialogue, it's a good thing to do before. So one of the good ideas that were on the group norms for dialogues was that we need to challenge the idea and not the person. So I really think that's a big thing when it comes to dialogue, especially with people that you don't know. There's going to be people who disagree, but you need to challenge the idea that someone is presenting instead of attacking the person. I also liked at the beginning when we talked about comparing a debate, discussion, and dialogue, and the differences that were between those. Kind of really opened your mind to what our goal was for the 2 hours that we were there and having a successful dialogue. After we went over those rules, we did an activity where we wrote down on a wheel different parts of our life and our identity that define us, and how much those, like what percentage those different things, such as our gender or ethnicity or our age or our race or religion, what percentage that plays in our everyday life. And then another one was our sexual orientation. And so most people said that that didn't really play a big part in their lives. And so that was interesting that everyone really had that in common, and we didn't have anyone in our group who said that was a big part of their day-to-day life. Then we did an activity where we had a sheet of paper, and we each were given another sheet of paper that said red, blue, or orange, or purple. And so each one, there was about 4 or 5 people for each different group, and we didn't know what those colors meant at first, but the first thing you do is write down your name. Then you write down the name of a family member who's close to you, and then a friend who's close to you, your dream job, and your hopes, your dreams, and then I think that was it. I think those are the only ones on there. But and then someone read this piece of paper that said, okay, everyone needs to pretend like they're a homosexual who's coming out to everyone around them, and then we're gonna read the different responses of what people have according to the different groups. So the first one was, you're coming out to your parents. Actually, I think the first one was for friends. It was you're coming out to your friends, and if you're in the red group, if you're in the blue group, then your friends accept it and like act like nothing's wrong. If you're in the purple group, then your friends, they kind of knew it was coming and they have a few questions for you, but they still accept you. And if you're in the orange group, then your friends, some of your friends don't want to be friends with you anymore, but others are still supportive of you. And so you underline the name of the friend that you had on the sheet of paper, because that means, they're questioning it and they're kind of still there, but they're not fully still there. And then it was if you're in the red group, then your friends completely have a problem with it, and they don't want to be friends with you anymore because you're homosexual. So you have to cross their name out. So we go through every single one of these categories, and I was in the red group, and the red group ended up having to cross out every single thing on there. So you cross out your best friend, your family member, your hopes, your dreams, and your dream job, and everything. Everything was crossed out, and so then it was just your name on the paper, and that's all you had. A lot of people then spoke up about how people who they know who were homosexual had problems with suicide or things like that, and it kind of made sense to me after being in the red group and seeing everything that I have in my life crossed off, and so I was left with nothing. Kind of made sense to me. A lot of people might feel like they're alone when they're coming out that they're homosexual. So I really learned a lot from the dialogue, and I think we had a really good group where there was no really huge confrontation, and people were able to, once we started to get to know each other better, a lot of people spoke up more and voiced their opinion. I think that dialogue is a component of Library 100 so that people can understand how important it is to be able to have a successful dialogue with people instead of just simply debating with them. And I think that it's going to be a useful tool in my experience here at Clemson, because in class or in other activities that I'm doing, I know how to successfully communicate with people by being a person that they can talk to and know that they're not going to be judged, or their ideas aren't just going to be shut down. So I really enjoyed the activity, and I'm excited that I was able to be a part of the group that I was in.